How does Jannik Sinner generate so much power on his forehand? On average, his forehand speed is 78 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour faster than the average forehand speed on tour. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 key factors on how he generates so much power. The first is how he loads his legs and coils his body. And then he uncoils and lifts up to contact. The second is how he gets into the key slot position and generates so much lag where he can store energy in the forearm muscles. The third is the inside-out swing path. So when he swings up to contact, his hand and his swing go away from his body in what we call an inside-out swing shape. And then the fourth component is in how he uses his left arm as his reactive brake, causing a stopping effect so his arm essentially acts like a whip and speeds up at contact. Now let's dive deeper into those 4 factors where I go into more detail and show you drills that you can do to apply some of these same principles to your own forehand. So starting with the first factor, coiling the body. Let's see how Jannik Sinner, he gets low as he coils and turns his shoulders past his hips. When he does that, he places the muscles across his trunk on stretch. So he has the stored energy, which then he can release up to contact. As he gets in the slot position, he then begins to uncoil where his body lifts and rotates up towards contact. These are some key components to help you generate more power. Now if we look at that on the open stance, you'll see something very similar. You see how he gets low, he coils his body and he rotates up to contact, this time over his outside right leg. Now this concept of using the kinetic chain where you load the legs, where you get nice and low, and you coil and uncoil your body can really help you to generate power on your forehand. So the first drill I want you to do is you want to have your feet apart, knees are bent, you want to place your hands on your shoulders. We call this the X factor drill because when you step out, you want to turn your shoulders past your hips. When you do that, you create this trunk dissociation and you place the muscles across your trunk on stretch. So you have that stored energy, which then you can release up to contact. So the first thing we're going to do is you got your hands like this. We step out and turn the shoulders past the hips. Now it's important when you do this, see how my right foot, my outside foot's angled across the baseline. That allows me to turn the shoulders and create this nice stretch. If I step parallel to the baseline, then it's very difficult to get the trunk stretch. So just practice it a couple of times. You're stepping out, turn the shoulders past the hips. Okay, nice soft knees as you do that. Now from here, we're going to step into a neutral stance. So we're going to step down into the court like this. When we step down, we're also going to bend our knees like we're sitting in a chair. So from here, I'm ready. I'm going to step out, turn the shoulders past the hips. We step down to the court and then we rotate upwards like this. Now one thing to be aware of, when you step down into the court, you want to transfer your weight from your back foot to your front foot at contact. If you're struggling with this concept, then what you can do is when you step down, strike with the heel. This will help you to keep the weight back on the back leg and then transfer it to the front leg at contact. Just take a look at it again. So ready, I'm stepping out, shoulders past the hips, heel strike sitting down, rotating upwards, right? Now if we take a look at that in open stance, very similar, I'm stepping out, see my right foot is diagonally across the baseline, so I get this nice trunk stretch. This time around, I'm going to rotate up over the outside leg. Okay, this foot will come in. You don't want to transfer the weight to the inside leg, my left leg, too early because that's going to take the swing. So goes the body, so goes the swing. That's going to affect the ball flight and where it goes. Now something to just be aware of, a lot of times when people do these drills, they tend to want to lead with the trunk and the hips get left behind. Right? So what I want you to think of, just watch here. If I do these drills, I just think of rotating my hip and core. See how it brings the trunk around. So my focus is on the hip and the core. Really, the back foot is pushing, but my focus is hip and core, and I'm driving it at an angle 45 degrees upwards and to the right where my arm is going. All right? Be careful. You don't want to just rotate the hip because you're going to twist your lower back. Take a look at it one more time in the neutral stance, stepping out, stepping down. And when I rotate my hips, see how it brings my trunk around. So once you've done the X Factor drills, you've got a good feel for it, then you can add the racket, you can do shadow swings. So from the ready position, your unit turn, you're stepping out, turn the shoulders past the hips, stepping down, and then rotating upwards. Now you see me catch the racket like this, and you may say, who plays that way. But here, if we take a look at a video of Roger Federer warming up on his forehand, you'll see him getting to the similar position, catching his racket. All right, so let's do a couple more here. So ready, we're stepping out, stepping down, rotating upwards. Then on the open stance, stepping out, and now you're rotating up, staying over the outside leg. Now you don't want to lose your balance, but your weight's over the outside leg. I'm on the toe of my left foot. So yeah, one more time. My unit turn, and then rotating upwards. Now once you've done the shadow swings, then you can do some self-feed. So self-feed with the neutral stance. Okay, stepping out, toss the ball, drop the ball in front of you, step down, and then rotate upwards. Try to focus on rotating the hip and the core to get things moving. And you do the same thing on the open stance. Now from there, you most likely would take a crossover step to recover. So there are some drills and progressions to help you to properly use your body and the kinetic chain to help you generate more power on your forehand. If you'd like to see more videos like this to improve your forehand and the rest of your game, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button below. Now let's take a look at the second key factor. Now getting into the slot position and creating what we call lag. Now keep in mind, this is not for everybody. This is an advanced concept. It can, if you do it incorrectly, really wreak havoc with your forehands. This is for the advanced players, but it is something I want just to cover with you all. So if you take a look at Jannik Sinner, you'll see that when his racket drops into the slot position, his racket tip is pointing to the outside, to the side fence. Now, you see how the racket tip drops level with the hand, and then he begins to uncoil from the ground up, and you'll see how the racket now flips into what we call the inside slot position, where now he's placed the muscles in the forearm on stretch. So he has that stored energy, which he can now release up to contact. Now this is a key ingredient if you're looking to add a lot of racket head speed, but again, this is not for everybody, but I will go through some key drills you can do if you're at the level and you have all the fundamentals in place on your forehand and you want to give this a try. Now a couple of key things before you do this. You want to make sure that you're properly warmed up. So you've done your warm-up stretches, and you do a couple of these wrist kind of warm-ups, all right? So you can do these. And you want to keep in mind, a lot of people make the mistake is that they drop in this position and they set the hand. See what I just did? I pushed the hand back. I'm not generating any lag or pre-stretch doing it this way. What you really want to be doing is, as you begin to uncoil your body, I begin to rotate. See how my hand comes forward? It's like my racket tip stays to the outside, and then you see when my hand comes forward, it rotates back into this position here. Now you're placing those muscles on stretch, which you then release up to contact. Now a key mistake a lot of people make is when they start to do this, they start to play with the wrist this way, and that's where they get into trouble. When you do this, you want to feel like you're almost like throwing the racket to the right. So if I let go of the racket, it should fly this way. If you find, if you have to let go of the racket, and please don't do so, it would go across your body, you know you're using the wrist incorrectly. So the first drill you can do, once you've warmed up, is the Brian Gordon drill, where you simply just have the racket hit the back of your leg. Now, some of you may not be able to get there. There was a young guy I've been working with, it took him about 6 months. He's broken into the top 500 in the world, but it took him 6 months to be able to hit his leg there. So be very careful. You may lack the flexibility, but just do it over and over, just a little bit each time, and you may get more and more flexibility. But notice how I'm doing it. I'm not doing this, I'm doing that. My hand's coming forward. Okay, that's really key to remember when you do this drill. So in this drill, you're gonna bounce the ball like this. Notice where my racket is. It's across the service line, the angle, the ball's in front of my front foot. So you bounce the ball, 1, 2, 3, and then you work on the flip there. What I'm trying to do is bring the hand forward. I rotate forward. See how the racket tip stays where it is, but then it looks like it lags. It's like an action, reaction. Let's see it again. And it's a good way to develop that feel. Then you can move on to the next drill, which will be a self-feed. Now initially you want to be about halfway back so you can slow things down, and you simply want to complete your unit turn, and you want to try to have the racket tip fall to the outside as much as possible. Now we see varying degrees of this, but I'm going to let that racket fall, and then once it gets, my hand gets into my slot position, I begin to rotate my body and see how the hand comes forward and the racket flips to the inside slot position. Notice how the racket face is slightly closed. This is important. And then I swing up to contact. So I'm going to start in this position here, delay it, and hit. And again. Now something you want to avoid is dropping it and then doing this, setting the hand. Now once you can do that, you can go further back. This is also a nice way you can actually just feed the ball in if you're just practicing and rallying with an opponent or a partner, dropping the ball, and then delay. Then ultimately you put it all together with your unit turn, and that's how you can work on developing that lag in your forehand. Now for the third factor, the inside-out swing path. Now a lot of people struggle with this concept. Let's first take a look at Jannik Sinner, and let's see that when he turns and coils, he then gets his hand in what we call the inside slot position. Inside meaning the hand is close to his body. Now as he begins to uncoil and lift, you'll see how the hand and the swing go forwards but also away from his body as he lifts to contact. Now as mentioned, a lot of people struggle with this concept of the inside-out swing path. So I want you to think that there are three components to your swing. Now you have a length component where your swing goes forward. You also have a low to high component where the swing goes up and lifts. But you also have a third component, and that is swing width. So, meaning when you swing up to contact, your swing also goes away from your body. Now why that's advantageous is that you now have a longer lever, so your racket's going to be moving faster out here. Plus, it's going to help you increase your hitting zone. So you have a longer distance where your strings go to your target. Third component, which is critical, that's how you put true topspin from the ball, where the ball spins from end over end like 6 to 12 in a clock face. If you swing from outside in, the ball rotates this way, and you don't gain that margin for safety. The whole idea is when you accelerate, you gain more true topspin, and that helps bring the ball down on the other side, so you're increasing your margins. So to understand width, I'm just going to stand with my racket down here, and I'm going to simply lift my shoulder upwards without going forward. I'm going to lift it up, see how my hand starts close to the body. As I lift, see how it gets further and further away from me. It's making like an arcing shape here, with the hand and the racket tip. Now if you look at that again, I'm starting on the inside close to my body. As I continue to lift upwards, see how it goes away from me to the outside, and then it will naturally come back towards me on the inside. So the more I can start on the inside, the more I can go to the outside. So now when you put that together, we have the length going forward, we have the low to high lift, but we also have the width factor. So from here, as I lift and swing, lift and extend, see how I'm also going away, giving it width. Now you can see that arc, or that circle which I'm creating. And I continue to lift this way before then coming around. But it will naturally come back in just because of the rotational nature of your shoulder. Right, so that's one way to understand it. Now let's show you some drills you can do to help you to try to implement this in your own forehand. So to complete this drill, you can even do this at home up against a wall or on the tennis court with a fence. Now you first want to establish how far your distance from the fence, and you simply can just start in, we call this inside position, lift the shoulder, lift up until you get to the fence here. Now you should almost be touching at this point, and then you continue up and see how it naturally comes back towards you, right? Now you've established your spacing, and then you can simply turn around and you can turn, remember the X factors? You sit. Now as you swing up to contact, notice how my racket tip gets closer to the fence right here. And then as I continue to lift, it will gradually start to come back around here before I then release the swing this way. So you can do that over and over and just get the feel for how you're not only adding length and going from low to high, you're also swinging away from your body, giving it width this way. And then certainly you can speed the shadow swings up, and you'll feel that right at this point, there's a little bit of a pull in the direction of the contact. You're not falling over, but you'll feel your core engaging. That's a little extra that you're looking for. That's going to give you that little more extension on your shot, increasing that hitting zone, but giving that longer lever so the racket can move faster, and most importantly, give the ball end over end spin. Now you can take it from the fence onto the court. I like to use the doubles alley as a guide because you can imagine that this line over here, the double side line, is that fence, is that wall that you're tracing. And simply you can think of swinging and keeping the swing inside the alley, but see how it goes away from you. It traces that line, and then at some point it's going to have to come back around. So good way to kind of feel it at first is you want to do what I call stuck in the mud, meaning your feet are planted, all right? Now, you don't want to hit the ball too hard because you want to use the ground. And I'm going to stay in this open stance. I'm going to try to trace that as long as I can, tracing that sideline. I'm going to drop the ball in front of me, and you'll kind of feel what it feels like a little bit. The swing's going away from your body. Then you can adjust your stance and get into the neutral stance and feel how you swing it away from the body and tracing that line. Now, if you miss to the right, that's actually a good miss. All you got to do is play the ball more out in front. So turning in here. The goal is you want the ball to travel straight between the two alley lines. And now for the fourth factor, using your non-dominant arm as reactive brake. Now what do I mean by that? That means you want to use your non-dominant arm as a braking effect, because what you want to do at contact, you want to stop your body rotation. What happens is when this stops, the preceding link will actually gain more speed, kind of like a whip. Plus, it'll help direct the swing to your target. If you continue to rotate, see how it pulls the swing, but also you end up recruiting muscle. It takes more energy, but you also get less for that energy. When you rotate up to contact and stop at contact like this with your rotation, the arm will then speed up, they say approximately 1.5 times faster than you can contract your muscles. So, the non-dominant arm, you want to keep it out to the side. This helps you with spacing. Now, as you start to uncoil, I'm going to leave my hand where it is. As long as my arm bends, see how it naturally comes across my body here. It stops, and this allows my swing to now translate out towards my target. Now, a lot of people struggle with this concept. If so, what you can do is just think about catching the racket. Think about there's a flight of stairs going to your target, and your hands are going up the stairs, and you catch it nice and high over your shoulder. And we even see this with top touring pros catching the racket in the warm-up, because when things are moving slow, it's very difficult to do what I'm going to show you next. Now, if you look at Jannik Sinner, you'll see how when he rotates up to contact, see how his left arm moves across his body, but then see how his shoulders stop rotation at impact. See how long he holds that while he continues to swing out towards the target before then finally releasing. Now, a lot of people seem to think that they're doing this through contact, but really if you look at the top players in the world, they're actually doing this. They're stopping, racket goes out. Now, some players get to about here, like a Djokovic, before they release. Some players like a Nadal, even a Federer, get further along before you see that release. Let's take a look at some drills you can do to help you with using that left arm as your reactive brake. Now, a great way to feel that stopping effect is to use a fence like this. Now, what I'm going to do is position myself a couple of feet away, and you see I'm diagonally spaced. Now, I'm in my neutral stance, and now a key thing is a lot of people incorrectly rotate like this, where their chest is pointed straight ahead. You want to be slightly side on as you do this. So use the X factor, and you want to be slightly side on at contact, almost like your belly button is pointing to the ball or your chest is to your net post to the right, in my case because I'm right-handed. You can start like this, and you're going to rotate. Now the key is you got to get the weight to the front leg, right? So watch me here. There, and I'm creating this imaginary post from my shoulder through my ankle. A lot of people do this incorrectly. They either just do this, they stay down, or they over-rotate. You want to rotate up and stay slightly sideways. And you want to do this over and over. And then you can step away, pretend your hand's on the fence, and then you want to rotate and stop at contact. The weight should be on the front leg, it should be straight. You'll start to feel how the shoulder's stopping. It's a great way to get that effect where you feel like you're creating this post to the front side of your body. So it looks something like this. There. You do it over and over. Now that one could be a little bit tricky when you don't have a lot of speed to practice it. But keep in mind, if you find this concept is difficult, simply put, all you want to do is pretend that there's a staircase going to your target. You just want the hands going up the staircase, catching the racket. If you begin to catch the racket with your left hand, a lot of times these things here start to happen more naturally. Now in closing, and to summarize, there's 4 key factors. First thing to remember, that's a lot of things to focus on at one time. So pick one of those key factors that apply to you, or work on them one at a time. The first one is you want to use the ground. You want to get low with the legs, and you want to uncoil and rotate up towards contact. The second one, which is more advanced, where you start to develop that lag in your forehand, and that's for those high-level players who have all the fundamentals in place and you want to add that. Again, you don't have to add the component. It's just an extra for those of you who have that ability. The third component is the inside-out swing path, where not only do we swing forwards and upwards, we also give the swing width, where we swing inside out. So there's 3 components there. And the fourth component is using the non-dominant arm as your reactive break. Remember, if that's too difficult, just focus on catching the racket. So thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video below. Thank you. If you'd like to see more videos on forehand instruction, make sure you check out the link below on my colleague James Ludlow's 8 steps to hitting a forehand.